Yesterday, we have finished reviewing the first intention, the first right intention, the intention of renunciation, which can be summarized in two parts. Firstly, contemplate the dangers of desire, the cycle of desire, and secondly, the benefits of renunciation. Today, we are going to take a look at the intention of goodwill. The intention of goodwill opposes the intention of ill will, thoughts governed by anger and aversion. Two ways of handling ill will ineffectively. One is to yield to it. This time, express our anger with verbal or bodily action, with shouting, yelling at the other persons. It releases the tension, helps drive the anger out of one's system, at least according to the worldly way. It, according to this text, poses certain danger. It breeds resentment. Whoever you yell at, whoever you shout at, it can plant resentment inside the person. This rings very true. Whenever I recall my parents yelling, fighting at each other. After each fight, the subsequent fights just gets more intense and more intense. When the resentment builds up, accumulates, I tell you, it's what do we call that? Civil war, internal world war. Provokes retaliation, creates enemies, poisons relationship. This is the one. Generates unwholesome karma. Most importantly, if you look back at the right view, this is one of the danger. In the end, here it says, ill will does not even leave the system after all. It's just driven down to a deeper level, and it continues to thrive, continues to vitiate one's thought and conduct. Another way to handle ill will is repression. We force ourselves to dampen down the ill will. I think it's slightly better than the first method, but still does not solve the problem. And when it accumulates, it can transform into self-contempt, depression, or a tendency to outbursts of violence. Then, what is the remedy recommended by the Buddha? It's a quality called, in Pali, metta. The word derives from friend, but metta signifies much more than ordinary friendliness. It's usually translated by these two words, this compound word, loving kindness. An intense feeling of selfless love, the first sense, for other, radiating outwards as a genuine heartfelt concern for their well-being and happiness. It's not just sentimental goodwill. It's not a response to a moral imperative or divine command. It must become a deep inner feeling characterized by spontaneous warmth rather than by sense of obligation. When your metta accumulates and rises at its peak, rises to the heights of a Brahma Vihara, divine dwelling, a total way of being centered on the radiant wish for the welfare of all beings. While the word contains the word love, metta, but we should distinguish it from our normal sensual or romantic love that is being advertised in the media. Sensual love is a form of craving, necessarily self-directed. And love in personal affection has a degree of attachment. We find a partner, a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, or wife because they give us pleasure, belongs to our family group, or reinforces our self-image. Only rarely the feeling of affection transcend ego references. Even when you say your love is unconditional, the scope is still limited. Limited to what? To that specific person we target our love to. Okay? It applies only to an exclusive group, a certain person or groups of people, while excluding others. For example, like stranger on the street, compared to your family. If your love is universal, then it should be the same towards the stranger or towards the family. But if your love is exclusive, involved in personal affection, then you would feel differently between your family and between the strangers. This paragraph explains that metta does not hinge on a particular persons, but it can be applied universally. The next paragraph explores about how we can develop metta methodically through meditation. Here is called Metabhavana, the meditation on loving kindness, one of the most important kinds of Buddhist meditation. How do we start it? We can start with metta towards ourselves. Why do we start with ourselves? Because true loving kindness, the text says, for others only becomes possible when one is able to feel genuine loving kindness for oneself. Why? Most of the anger and hostility we direct to others springs from negative attitudes we hold to ourselves. So you have to recall this when you see, or when you perceive like hostile person or nasty person, it is actually because they are suffering deep inside. The negative attitudes they hold towards themselves. And when you realize this, when you know that they are the one that's suffering the most, even though they seem hostile to you, then your ill will, at least in my experience, my ill will dissipates. When metta is directed inwards towards ourselves, it helps to melt down hardened crust created by these negative attitudes, permitting a fluid diffusion of kindness and sympathy outwards. After starting with ourselves, then we gradually expand. Next step, we extend it to others. Okay, let's see. This line. The procedure starts with oneself. If we look into our own mind, we find that when we wish to be happy and free from suffering, others also wish the same. Yeah? Basic urge of our being is the wish to be happy and free from suffering. When we see this in ourselves, then we understand that all living beings, others, you, all of us, all living beings share the same basic wish. We all want to be happy. We all want to be free from suffering. All want to be well, happy, and secure. So to develop metta towards others, we imaginatively share this innate wish for happiness, the basic wish that's shared for everybody. Okay, this last paragraph is like more specifically how to, when you do a meditation on loving kindness, on metta, how to methodically do it. First, we direct the metta towards individuals representing certain groups. Gradually, from someone nearer from us, in an order progressive remoteness from oneself. Begins with a dear person. It can be a family, can be your partner, can be your boyfriend, can be your girlfriend, can be your husband, can be your wife, whoever is closest to you. Can be your parents, teachers. Then you can start to move on to your close friends. Everyone that's dear to you. Your high school friends, your university friends, your temple friends, volunteer friends. Every morning we meditate together. You can also direct the metta towards this group as well, one by one. And then you can move on to a neutral person, people who you don't feel much with. Who can this be? Strangers on the street, the auntie and uncle in the hawker center, who serves you food, the waiters who clean your table. You can direct metta towards these people. Then finally, the last one, to a hostile person. It can be someone truly hostile. The extreme one is like Hitler, or some of the public figure. This is also important. The types are defined by relation to ourselves, even though the relationship starts from ourselves. The love to be developed is not based on that relation, but on each person's common aspiration for happiness, the same basic urge for happiness and the wish to be free from suffering that we share among all living beings. Then, with each individual, when we go through, we can recite this. May he or she be well. May he or she be happy. May he or she be peaceful. When you feel that kind of warm feeling of goodwill and kindness, then you can turn on to the next. Another way that I find helpful is that I learned from Shifu is to imagine that person smiling, smiling really widely. As usually when people smile, it does indicate happiness, and the image of them smiling in my mind, it does have to generate the warm feeling of metta, of goodwill. You can try that and see whether it works for you. The next line we'll just progress one by one. Then you can start to read it towards all friends, all neutral persons, all hostile persons. Or you can also use directional suffusion. Proceeding in all direction, east, southwest, north, above, below, can be extended to all beings without distinction. In the end, we can suffuse the entire world with a mind of loving kindness, vast, sublime, immeasurable, without enmity, without aversion. Sometimes I also do it this geographically. I start from this house itself, my housemates, 5 of my housemates, and then I start from the neighbors, I spend to the neighbors and the neighbors that I meet usually when I go out. Sometimes I stumble upon them, my neighbors, and then I start from the whole town, Toa Payoh, the whole Toa Payoh, and then I expand further until the whole Singapore, and then starts to expand to whole Southeast Asia, and then expand again until covering the whole Asia, and then I start to add continents, Australia, US, Africa, until it covers the whole Earth. Yeah, and then we can further expand to the beings above, the heavenly beings, and also the beings below, the beings in hell, and also the beings in the animal realms. Eventually covers all beings. Okay, that's it for the intention of goodwill, metta. Any questions or comments?
I just want to point out, just now you said about really the methodical way, right, from ourselves, and then slowly move to the next. And when you say to a dear person, try not to start with your partner. Yeah, just now you mentioned partner. But when I attended metta teaching, usually the teacher say, try not to start with partners. Yeah, because when you start with partner, then sometimes you don't radiate pure metta. Yeah, sometimes that sensual desire comes in. Yeah, so just something to highlight. Start from your teacher, your parents, then to a friend.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thanks for adding that on. Because when we start with our partner, then the two kind of other love could be involved: the sensual love and the love in personal affection, which, like the text mentioned, can involve to a certain extent a degree of attachment. So I think that is what Saikyang means. Yeah, I think that makes sense, which makes the metta not as pure when you direct it towards, let's say, for example, parents or teachers. The kind of love implied can be different. That's a good point. Thanks for adding on, Saikyang. Anyone else? Any more comments? Okay, if not, I would like to do a sharing of merits today. Let's share the merits to the Devas, the Buddhas, the Nagas, the dragon spirits, and to all beings, wishing them to rejoice in the merits, to protect the Buddha Sasana, to protect the world, and to protect ourselves and others. Akasata Jabumata Dewa Nagamahidika Punyang Tang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Sasanang. Akasata Jabumata Dewa Nagamahidika Punyang Tang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Desanang. Akasata Jabumata Dewa Nagamahidika Punyang Tang Anumoditva Jirang rakantu mang parang etawata jaamhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabi dewa anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etawata jaamhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabi buddha anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etawata jaamhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabi sata anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Bawa gupadaya awaji tato etandare satakai upapanya rupiya rupicha asanya sanyino dukkha pamujantu pusantu nibuting. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. 厌消三障诸烦恼，厌的智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, we may be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a loving kindness Friday ahead. Thanks everyone for participating. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.